Welcome. Here we are on Tuesday, November 7th, 2024, in the C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Thank you to each of you for being here. This is so good to see you and to really expand on a really important topic today. And this is really, to me, this is the fundamental of us as coaches and consultants, trusted advisors, thought leaders, is how do we become a stand for our clients, for ourselves, and for the world. I'm so inspired by this topic, and I'm doing a lot of writing about it, and I encourage each of you to do this as well, because I think there's a gap and a void, and we get a tremendous opportunity. We get to step into it, which is just what we do, right? Always. We step into the void, we step into the opportunity, and to be able to use our gifts and talents. So let me just jump right in. And I've got a couple points where I'd really like to have us have an interactive discussion and talk about your experiences and your thoughts about how we can take this into corporate. And I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of C-Suite Network, Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. I say that fast because we've got to get to our topics and our other programs. I'm a speaker and author, been a coach since 1998. I love coaching. And once you're a coach, it's in your DNA, right? So just very quickly, we have had, as always, some incredible programs. And just to quickly go through our programs, and by the way, if you are esteemed faculty and you would like to lead another program, we would love for you to do that. We've got new members coming in, new esteemed faculty members. We're welcoming so many new programs, and we want to feature you. So we had a fabulous last Thursday was Halloween. So we had a shadow party. We all wore costumes. Many of us changed during the program, and we were talking about how to use our superpowers. And it was so much fun. Check out the replay. Kathy Dirksen talked about stepping into new possibilities, really powerful, great questions. Trisha Ben, excellent program about asking the CEO, kind of behind the scenes, what's her thought process? How does she make decisions? Evaluate vendors, partners, clients, all kinds of things. It was a really terrific program as well. Deb Creer talking about transforming adversity. She's got a dynamic story about her health journey. She's turning it into a movement, trying not to die, not live. Really powerful. I talked about corporate coaching. And of course, our very own Carol Kammer talked about how to optimize your LinkedIn. Connect with Carol on LinkedIn. We're launching a GENT Alliance, generous, enthusiastic, noble, and tenacious support of women as coaches and consultants. And of course, Christina DiGiacomo talked about AI. Gloria St. Martin Lowry talked about how to build advocates, allies, and champions in our corporate client accounts and throughout our networks. And of course, Sheila Anderson talked about perseverance. So we've had amazing programs. Okay, and we will continue to every Thursday at 1 Eastern. That's our time. We just slot it right into your calendar. We're going to have a great program. So to pivot here for a moment, you can't pick up a news feed. You can't pick up a newspaper, turn on the TV, whatever it is, and get the headlines about what's happening in the world, not only the US, but also the world. And I just took a couple snippets from yesterday and today's news feeds, and you can see by what's happening, global things are happening. Elections are happening all around the world, and there's a lot of tension, as you know, right? This is a global phenomenon about concerns about the election and war and the economy and all kinds of things. But also the very bottom little clip was close to home. A man was arrested for punching an election judge at a polling location. I mean, this is a global situation, but it's also a very local situation. We've also got, we talked about climate changes and fires and all kinds of things happening. So, ladies, guess what? As a coach, trusted advisor, thought leader, consultant, we get this great opportunity to step in and be a helping force in the world. And I know that's why you're here. So with that, and I in all of my research for today, as you know, the impact on people as human beings is absolutely incredible. There's this new thing that's being talked about now, and maybe you've heard of this, is called the rise of pernicious polarization. That's a mouthful. Pernicious polarization. Anybody hear about this topic? Yes. It's an actual word. It's a thingy, as they say, in the division of society into two mutually antagonistic political camps. It's truly the us versus them. And if you just do a little Google search, you're going to find it is all over the world. And tensions are high, of course. So check it out. I love the site, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, because it's all about bringing solutions to conflict. Okay. And so, and I'm curious, what are you seeing, sensing, hearing in your local communities? And what are you getting the vibe about? Because if it's in the news, it's going to be it's people are really hyper aware now. Their news feeds and they're hyper aware because of the election, pre, post, pre, during, and post election in the US, all kinds of things with the economy, et cetera, et cetera. So what are you experiencing? What are you hearing, seeing, and sensing with what's up in the world right now? I want to stop and get some points of view on here. Are things different in Portugal than in the US, Clara?
Uh, I was just thinking about that. Not really. And I've just had a very strange experience on Monday. So my car broke down, and I never, it was the first time I took an Uber in Portugal. I've taken Ubers everywhere else, but in Portugal, it was the first time. And I don't even have the app. So my daughter organized it for me. So they said, okay, it's a Renault Megane and this is the number plate. So I got into the car and I said, hi, good evening. Do you need help with finding the place? And no answer. It was a guy sort of looking sort of Arabic. And I am the most non-racist person there is. Okay. So do not read any sort of thing into it. But he didn't answer. It was, I don't know if it was on the phone because I could see no earplug or anything. So he was all the time talking in a language that I couldn't make out what it was. And some of the time he was doing chants.
While
And
driving.
I tried driving, and it's like a 20-minute ride. I tried Portuguese, I tried English, and none of it worked. So he was doing his own thing, and I was at the back, and I thought, this doesn't feel right,
Mm.
you know. And I sort of hate myself. Why doesn't it feel right? You're supposed to be really, but I don't think that a public service. I mean, suppose I felt bad or something happened. There was an accident. The guy, how can you have a license to do a profession in a country when you have no idea? It's like you being driven by an alien. You might as well be driven by an automatic car. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, Clara, that sounds really scary, right? Not
it is
kind of in
weird. Yeah.
control, right?
Yeah, and they had this really also funny smell, the car, because it had some sort of, I don't know what, some oil or some stuff that was actually giving me a bit of an allergy and all that, but I couldn't tell him open the window or anything like that. And it was really, really, really strange. And I'm sort of thinking, of course, of what's happening in the elections in the US, which will affect us as well, affects everything. And I have a friend who's I've always thought that she was a bit strict, because she said, "Oh, we shouldn't have so many immigrants and whatever and whatever." But what I saw the other day, I never go to Lisbon, although it's 10 kilometers away. Okay, so, and there was one of the main squares. Okay, it's not everywhere, but apparently that's a ghetto now. Okay,
Ah,
and it has a square that is really, really big. And 20 years ago, it was local commerce, the moms and pops that had the little shop that sold the vegetables and the toys and the this and the that and the that. Now they transform the thing into a place of worship, and they put their rugs and they all do chants and everything. And I just can't make up my mind, because yes, of course, everyone has the right to, do their own thing. But on the other hand, the Portuguese people that live there also have the right,
sure.
especially in a country that theoretically is Catholic, not be subject to something that to some insults their own religion. So to me, I'm fairly agnostic, although I think I'm Christian generically. Um, but I'm not fundamentalist, and I hate fundamentalism in anything in your life. And you sort of being confronted. Thank God that in Portugal it's just so very localized and very, very few things. But definitely things are changing
Yes,
everywhere,
yes, yes. Yeah,
and we have to create the resilience and the wisdom to be able to deal with these situations in a way that fosters collaboration
yes,
instead of negative feelings. Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Clara, for bringing all that up. And and we're so glad you're here. So you arrived where you needed to arrive, right? We're leaning in and curious about how your trip went, but you're here, so thank goodness. Yeah, yeah. So you can hear, thank you, Clara, sending loving kindness to you. Yeah, yeah. And for all of us, right? This is Clara, is our friend, our colleague, but she could also be how our clients are feeling, our partners are feeling, our family members, our communities feeling as well. So yeah, thank you for articulating all of that, Clara. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Who else?
I
What
just
are
want to
you
share a
seeing?
few
Yeah,
things. I want to just share a few things
yeah.
because
Thanks, Sonia.
getting to where we are today didn't happen in 5 years. It didn't even happen in 10 years. It takes at least 2 generations to get there. And basically, what you have to look at is what is the fundamental message that's been going out for a really long time? And when you create something that says other, you're other, separate than me, you are therefore different. And then I can ascribe all of this other emotion or information to you. And when you look at why that happens, why does that happen? Because it's easy to keep people divided when you don't want the attention drawn to you. And so, in my opinion, having coached for a really long time in uh, entertainment in other places where I know thoughts get shaped, people have lost the ability to be critical thinkers and evaluate whether a message they're getting is what I call a program, or is something they need to actually explore and understand a little deeper. Because we can have all the wonderful thoughts we want to have about how we can create more collaboration and more connection. But at the baseline, people need to actually want that and perceive that as something that has value. And so I grew up in Colombia, a country that has a caste system where you really understand that there's the elites and the oligarchs and all of that, and there's the rest of the world. And you would look at people begging as if they were other, not understanding these people don't have the financial means to be able to feed themselves, and they're doing the only thing that they know how to do. And if I'm empowered, let's come up with a program to fix this. So I think that we've lost the ability to critically think. And I think we've lost the capacity to look at ourselves as a community and realize we're all in this together. And we need to figure out solutions so that we can have constructive conversations. When you do that, a society changes. But it requires for us on an individual basis to be thinking about that within the communities that we live in. And when we hear somebody being, and this is what I literally do when I'm talking to somebody, when I go, when you've been hijacked
Yeah.
by a particular concept or whatever, I want you to have the presence of mind to bring yourself back to your center and figure out what is it about that hook that you took that taps into something in you that needs healing now. Because until we do that, we're going to only continue to try to deal with some of the things on the outside, but not go to the core. So I'll
Yes.
get off my soapbox.
Yeah. Fantastic, Sonia. Very, very excellent, right? Yes, yes. Yeah. Thank you to you and Clara. Yeah. Susan jumping in, Carol jumping in. What are you seeing, sensing, hearing, not only out in, obviously out in the world, with your clients, with your partners? What are you seeing and
What
hearing?
I
Yeah.
was very aware of yesterday is how isolated people are in what they're listening to, where their expectations were based on what they were expecting instead of a broader base understanding of what was happening across multiple channels. And the fact that they were either crushed because of a result or they were cheering because of a result with no respect for the other side having a different point of view or truly understanding why people felt the way they did about certain things or why they decided to vote a certain way that to somebody else who knew them was a surprise because that was not their expectation of that individual, left or right. It didn't matter. It was and the ability for people to say exactly where they were at without questioning if anybody else in the room would be offended. It's amazing how it's that depth of individual identity that we are so strongly holding on to, that we are seeking community, but we are not understanding the differences within a community that we wish they would when we are as vicious in our remarks sometimes when that is exactly what we are accusing someone else of doing. And
Gotcha.
you're sitting there going, wait a minute, where's your heart? And then the other piece for me is how do you expect to move things in a positive direction if you are cutting off all communication with people who do not think exactly like you? Because that is what is creating this broader divide instead of us going, let me understand what of that message spoke to you. Let me understand and share why I heard something in a way you did not. Where is that open conversation that brings us closer together? And Clara, for you being in a car, not having a clue who's driving you, what language they're speaking, it's 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 a reflection of the fact that businesses are putting people into positions of doing something without maybe describing to them how they need to engage with others, and that it is something that we need to look at in how are we doing business that may be creating as much of a disruption for a client. A friend of mine had a delivery come to the door and it wasn't what she ordered. And luckily, because she had to sign for something, she was able to go out and look in the vehicle that the delivery person was bringing and assess what was hers that wasn't tagged correctly. This person didn't speak English, but had an app with him in order to try and make connections work. That's maybe something that might have been suggested to him to do, or maybe he did it on his own to take responsibility for what he was doing. And that's where I think we have people working with us that sometimes we have expectations that they know what we expect and we never shared it with them.
Yes.
But the other thing, I mean, Susan, something to think about. I mean, so I was born in Colombia. I was adopted by American parents at the age of 8. And so when I was going to come to America, it was made very clear to me that if I was going to be in America, I needed to understand the American way. I needed to understand how to speak English If I'm in Portugal, I have to understand the Portuguese way. So when you're coming to these different countries, there should be an understanding that that's where you're coming to. But what we reach now, in terms of the way immigration has flowed all over the world, is people are coming straight into their own communities. So when I went to college, my first college, I was in Ithaca, New York, and my father came to visit me after I'd been there like 9 months. And by then I knew all the different people that were from Colombia that were both there or at Syracuse or whatever. And we all would get together and we'd get the Colombian paper and I'll never forget his look on his face when he walked in and he saw that and he just took me aside and he said, I did not send you X number of miles away from home, paying for your school for you to create a mini Colombia. You want a mini Colombia? Go back there, stay there. But you're here and you're either going to be part of the community and you're going to help or you're not. And I think that's the thing. There is no expectation, no conversation around how it is that you quote unquote adapt or flex or evolve to wherever that it is. But it goes back to you're the other.
Right.
And I had friends growing up who one of my dear friends is half Cuban, half American, and her father made sure that they never learned Spanish because he had come from Cuba. His intent was to be American.
Mhm.
And there are many I know of that generation that also feel they were denied knowing more about their heritage.
Yeah,
And
that
so
would have
they
been
are
that's hard.
wanting to know that other language. They are wanting to know more about that culture that they come from. So I think there's many aspects about who we are that we need to understand and embrace. And also, like you said, figure out how we come together to work in a very as Clara said, collaborative engagement, and as
Yes.
Sonia said, collaborative engagement. There's so much that needs to be looked at from different perspectives to allow it to be owned. And bravo for your dad for giving you a clarity of what his expectation was, and for you to understand that there were others that needed to have the collection about where they came from, even though they were figuring out how to fit in. There's that balance of the who am I at a core that makes me different, and how do I own it while still fitting in someplace else.
And assimilating and integrating, right? Yes, yes, yeah. Carol, thoughts as we move through this and move into our next section? Yeah, thoughts about what are you seeing, sensing, hearing, reading?
Well, we are still so very new past the presidential election. And so both yesterday and today, I've had friends call, in extremis. And I go, the sun is still coming up in the east. It's going to set in the west. Our breath still comes and goes. And you are still safe in your house. And no matter that it didn't match your expectations or mine, we can still live as people of gratitude, in gratitude. Now, it may take narrowing down what we tend to focus on. I said, honestly, start with your breath. Start with gratitude that you are alive, and work out until you feel like you can go on with your day.
Yes.
Because really, they were way out there.
Yeah.
Just tizzy, and it's like, well, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but let's change the lens that we look through, and let us choose the lens of gratitude so that we can move forward in a positive way and continue to express our purpose and our mission in the world. We still have those same abilities today, yesterday, the day before, and on in the future. So
Thank you, Carol.
Can I say something?
Please, Clara. Yeah.
Okay. So we're coming to Christmas, And last year, I'd been to a few debates on women and the different, gender differences and how we should have this and we should have that. And I came home and there was a couple of catalogs. And in the catalogs, it showed the girls' toys and the boys' toys. And the girls' toys, it was all kitchen and stuff and dolls.
An ironing board.
Yeah. And the
A
boys'
baby.
toys. And worse than that, they even had puzzles. They were for girls, meaning really easy ones, and puzzles for boys,
Oh boy.
which were more elaborate puzzles. Okay, when everybody knows that at a certain age, when we're growing, women tend to be, or girls tend to be smarter than boys because they're a little bit different rhythm in growing. Okay, it doesn't mean that they're more stupid or less stupid,
Yes.
which is a stupid word anyway. But so I wonder when I hear in intelligent people, and I belong to organizations which is PWN, which is quite big in Europe, and it's sort of C-suite of major companies, and I see someone sort of really high up in a big bank or something saying, "Oh, but I go home and I have to cook for my husband." You know, that have to cook for your husband? No, you don't. We have choices. Yeah.
Right.
So
marriage
if you
the
cook for
marriage
your
is a
husband,
partnership. Marriage is a partnership.
exactly.
Right.
So
Right.
she made
If you
her
cook
deal
for
with her partner.
Right.
Yeah, if you cook for your husband, it's because both of you decided that it is like that. So don't play victim because it doesn't catch with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
and
let's
and
get,
maybe
yeah, go ahead.
uh,
Yeah. And
so
victim
the whole
mindset.
point
Yeah.
was, or the whole point is, I think it's really important to look at what we're doing with our children, the ideas that we're planting on them, because it's a lot more work to wait until they grow up
Yeah.
with a head full of preconceived ideas and then
Yeah.
try to change them when we could and have the opportunity to make them different, sort of more open to feedback, more reflective, more tolerant, more
Yes.
collaborative when they're young.
Yeah. So wonderful. And let's talk about civility. Okay. I think this is part of a theme that you're all speaking about is compassion, civility, and I think it's also really important to, even as we're talking about this, is how can we move closer to our clients? As coaches, consultants, trusted advisors, thought leaders, speakers, writers, we're doing it all. But I think that we have this great opportunity to move closer with compassion and hearing. And I want to just mention to you that I think there's always there's just a tremendous opportunity here. And I love this definition of civility, civilized conduct, a polite act or expression. Civility comes from the Latin word civilis, meaning relating to public life, benefiting a citizen. In other words, being friendly and nice to everyone. But I think it falls short here. That dictionary.com definition, I think, falls short because would someone like to read this? This is another definition of civility, which is, I love this from Santa Clara University, this beautiful Markula Center for Applied Ethics. Love to get your voice in here. Who'd like to read this definition? Carol, jump in. Thank you.
Civility is about virtue ethics, the cultivation of those traits such as honesty, fairness, self-control, and prudence that help us reach our full human potential.
Excellent, Carol. Thank you so much. So I think that this definition goes even further. And as always, if we're not quite sure what we're going for, how will we find it? Okay. So just us as coaches, we being the stand for civility, not right people right or wrong or making people wrong. I had a friend who said, I was talking about, the election and what's happening in the US. And I said, I'm so excited to be doing a program with my colleagues on bridging the divide and how coaching for civility and connection helps people in turbulent times. And the response was, good luck trying to change the other party's mindset. And my response is, it's like, I'm not trying to change any mindsets here. I am being the peace. I am being a lighthouse, just like each of you. So curious about, you've mentioned this, Sonia, you definitely mentioned this, is this us versus them. And so knowing the conditions that our clients are dealing with, and perhaps, we'll talk about some strategies just next, but, there's a lot of fear. You probably heard this from your friend Carol. We are hearing it from our family members. We're experiencing it perhaps. VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's all over the world, right? It's what's happening. Also, this us versus them. What I notice is there's folks feeling like they want to be right, maybe also make others wrong. And a new term that I'm hearing a lot about is compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue. So, we've got our radar up for all of these things. Guess what? Coaches can help with all these things, right? And so, how can you and how can we be the bridge? All right. And so, I think that Susan, you mentioned this so beautifully, is a couple things that I'd like to propose. I want to get your point of view, of course, on this, is just noticing and encouraging our clients to notice is, who do I spend the most time with? Am I spending the time with my particular comfort zone of people, and Clara, you brought this up, and Sonia too, is, my comfort zone, my group of people that I feel the most comfortable with. Okay. And how can I maybe step out that a little bit more? Also asking ourselves and our clients, who are you going for? Who are you going to for advice and counsel and help? Who's in your trusted network that may even have some people that challenge your point of view on things, right? Also, for all of us to think about, what's the information, what are the news sources, where are we getting the input, and so, as Sonia said, is challenging those things, having people in our life that are going to say, hey, no, think about this another way. So it's healthy to have that, and we as coaches can encourage our clients to do that. And I also am curious, as a coach consultant, we can help our clients, but also for ourselves. What are the experiences and the perspectives that are really representing our decision making? What's our thought process? And so, would love to pause for a moment, get your point of view, and then want to jump into something I would love to share with you about some solutions. Yep. So, expanding our social networks, expanding our reach, looking at different points of view, and at the same time, not being activated by all of it. Your thoughts.
I, I see this as a deficiency of emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence was one of the things I focused on a lot in coaching. I would say that at least a third of the executives I was working with could improve on that. And if you think about it, there's 4 different quadrants, but all the things that you were bringing up and we've been bringing up here has to do with the part that, so we quote unquote have our own self-awareness, but we don't have self-regulation. We've actually come to a whole new approach. The self-regulation is something you have to do. I get to project whatever I want out there. And so we need to go back to that core, because that's what's missing.
I agree,
Yeah.
Sonia. I do agree that we need that self-regulation, and we need to be open to hear somebody, not just framing up a response to something before they've even finished talking. We have a lot of people who, the minute somebody makes a statement, they jump on the fact that I now get to attack you. It is not about understanding you. It is about going to war with you in a sense, and looking at it as we cannot have any commonality. And what we really need to do is find those commonalities between those differences. So we've
I
got to
think,
be disruptive of the
yeah.
way things have been so battleistic. And yes, there is that compassion fatigue.
Yes.
And I think part of it is the fact that people feel no one has had compassion for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
in that, I'm wounded, therefore I will wound kind of thing coming out. Uh, I feel disrespected. I don't have any reason to give respect. How do we create a way around those feelings, make a sense of understanding come into play? And as I said a little earlier, where do I find people who are not like me willing to have civil conversations
Yeah.
so that we can find those points that we can create solutions for, despite holding differences of opinions.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Very good. So I'd love to, for literally just a moment or so, give us an experience that we can use with our clients, because I think our success with bridging the divide, I always think it starts with us. And so I'd love to just invite us for just a moment, just to sit back in our chairs and take a couple deep breaths in and out. Could be the first time today, maybe you've just taken a moment to relax. So if you're comfortable, just sit back in your chair. And this is the metta loving kindness meditation. And I'll include a link to this in the chat because it's a beautiful meditation that helps us have everything that you're talking about. So I'd like to invite you to put your attention on your heart. Put your attention on your heart. And if you feel comfortable, you could put your hands on your heart or just feel the sensation of your heart. And sometimes during the day, I just kind of tap on my heart, just gently, lovingly, just to connect with my heart. And so, feeling through your heart the sense of kindness, compassion, and the metta kindness meditation says, "May I be well, healthy, and strong." Repeat that to yourself quietly. May I be well, healthy, and strong. May I be happy. May I abide in peace. May I feel safe and secure. And may I feel loved and cared for. And then for a moment, shifting your attention to think about yourself, your community, the world, anyone that you feel in your life, maybe the whole of your country, the whole of the world. And then you can just silently repeat to yourself, may you be well. May you be happy. May you abide in peace. May you feel safe and secure. And may you feel loved and cared for. Yeah, thank you. So when you're ready, come back to the room feeling refreshed and alert with lots and lots of energy. Yeah, yeah.
You know, what you just did, if we actually recorded in our own voice in the same way that you were doing, very nurturing, and we actually then play it right before we go to sleep, and we play it right before we wake up in the morning, and you do that for 40 days, you reprogram your subconscious mind. So that's actually a really nice approach. The key is your own voice speaks most powerful to your subconscious mind and your ability to do it in a nurturing way. And you did a very good job with that. That's very nice. It's a very nice prayer.
Yeah, yeah. So, sisters, we get to be the bridge, right? We get to be the bridge. And people, I think instinctively, people do want to be well. They want to be safe and secure. And so, reiterating for ourselves this loving kindness that people are just like me, I'm just like them. And we get this great opportunity to be the bridge. You can see all these bridges there, so many different bridges. You know, bridges from one side of where people are at to the other side. And so we know we get to be the person on the other side, maybe walking with them step by step, being on the other side, hey, come on, over here is so much better, or this is where you want to be. Come on, for we get to be the bridge builder, and I think we have a great privilege to do that right now, especially right now. So, some next steps. Think of what help is helpful for you, but what can you do? I think personally, we've got to be resourced ourselves, right? So, as you were saying, Sonia, thank you very much. The loving kindness recorded in our own voice and thinking every day about the ripple effect, because just even that energy, that vibration is very powerful. Praying for ourselves or kind thoughts or meditation, quiet time. And we know it increases our resilience, and maybe just even take when we're working with our clients, just taking a moment just to breathe, take a breath, right? Yeah. It just really lessens the tension. And of course, for all of us, as a coach, we have to come in as a clean slate, so to speak. We have to come in and be able to really hear and get our clients. So just having whatever our point of view is on a topic, just coming in with that, no agenda, right? Just to serve. And of course, listening and responding with loving kindness, but also compassionate rigor, right? Holding people to what they say they want and not necessarily holding them. The goals are not what we're coaching people to. We're coaching the human being, but also standing for. I love this a lot is when my clients are saying, la 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 la, they're in the mouse trap type of thing. I challenge them to, hey, I'm now speaking to that higher self, that higher part of you that's right here too. So what are we listening for or supporting our clients in? Yeah. And of course, you've all mentioned to guiding our clients and helping and supporting them to stay committed to what they're committed to, their locus of control, right? What can they control? And I'm now more than ever, sisters, reaching out to my current, my past clients, my partners, my community, just touching base. How are you? I'm thinking about you today. Not with an agenda, but just really that special touch. And Susan, you brought that up too. Thank you. And Carol, you've been such a lighthouse for your clients as well. So finally, I'm curious, how can we use our strengths and our superpowers, kind of linking back to last week, we were identifying your superpowers. how can we use these beautiful strengths that we have to make that positive difference, bridge the divide. Okay. And then we'll complete. So be thinking about that. And I also want to mention to you, next steps, we always have wonderful things to invite people to. So this Saturday, our Women's Saturday Success Circle, Susan K. Younger has volunteered to lead our circle. So excited about that. So feel free, come at 11 a.m. Eastern, really powerful. And of course, next Thursday, Angela Fowler is going to talk about the potential, how we can be the bridge when it comes to accessibility. There are so many things that our clients want to know about accessibility, and we can be the bridge. And Angela is our guide in how to do that, because there's more opportunity over in an area that maybe we've not been working in. So Angela is going to guide us in that. And of course, as a C-Suite Network esteemed faculty member in our council, we're going to be doing a 2-hour with breaks strategic planning session on Thursday, December 19th. So you will be able to put your plans in place for next year. We're going to go quarter by quarter. You will have your entire 2025 plans created on December 19th. So come and this is a member only event, a bonus, where you will be able to get your plans in place. Really exciting to have more clarity for this next year. And when you have clarity, you'll help your clients have clarity. Okay. So come join our council, as we want to promote you, showcase you, and highlight you. Schedule a call with me and let's talk more about where you're at with your business. So I'm curious about your biggest takeaway from our time together. It's been such a gorgeous and wonderful time. Thank you to each of you. Looking around the squares here, thank you to each of you for bringing your light into the world. I'm curious about your biggest takeaway, how you'll use your strengths, what are your next steps? And I'm stacking questions as coaches do, right? Yeah.
I'm going to go first because I have to leave.
Yes, thank you, Carol. Yes.
The notion of resourcing ourselves is so important. And
Yes.
I so appreciated your meditation and the call to remember that we need to be well nourished ourselves, well centered, and in order to let our light shine.
Beautiful.
So
Thank you,
for
Carol.
that.
Thank you, Carol. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. And it
I
can
go-
only take just a few minutes. I think we were having a little loving kindness for about 2.5 minutes. Very quick. So thank you. Good. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Who's next? Your biggest takeaway, next steps? Any of the above, using your superpowers.
Okay,
and
I can
strengths.
go. Listen, be curious, don't judge.
Thank you, Clara. Blessings to you. Thank you. Great words of wisdom.
For me, it's to continue planting those seeds to help others to find ways to engage respectfully.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. And you do that every day. You're gardening every day, lady. Yeah, thank you.
Time that I'm part of a community of people that really care and want to do the best every day. So Susan doing her light, Clara doing her light, all of us are like, okay, all the lights should meet soon.
Thank you. From all over the world, right? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Yes, thank you. Thank you to each of you. I love you. I care for you. I'm so grateful that you're here today. Thanks for making my day so beautiful. Thank you. We'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.